what I think it's hard time for us to move on from just in case education to just in time. So the difference between those two is the fact that just in time education is about teaching students to problem solve and also think creatively.
Before we dive into this conversation, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to our fellow viewers and subscribers for believing in our brand and showing us all the support that we need, because you make this channel what it is.
Yeah, and today we have started a new segment and we have a very fast guest.
Yay!
I wanted to tell you do the drum rolls. Anyway, so we have our first guest today, but before we give him like time to introduce himself and tell us just what he does, I think I would just like to know from both of you, like, how have you guys been? Like, how are you really? How has your week been? Yes. Maybe we can start with
The guest, definitely.
Okay, if that's the case. I think my week has been, just the same, doing the same thing as usual. I think it's more or less about student life because right now I'm doing my internship and at the same time I'm going for classes and then there are a whole lot of assignments and also I'm working on my thesis. So all together, so it's just like navigating between those activities. But other than that, I'm good and it's good to be here.
Yay!
Yeah.
glad to have you as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. My week has been good. Right now, we are into the last month of the first quarter of the year. I was looking for that because, so like right now, I'm juggling in between ensuring like my first quarter of the year goals are being met, and I feel like it's a bit overwhelming, but we are managing through. It's manageable. It's manageable with proper planning. It's manageable. How are you?
I am well, I would say, in most of the spheres of my life. I am well, and also I've had a great week. And I was also excited because I was looking forward for to this episode because of our first guest. And like yeah, so I think it has been something that's a mood that has been carrying me throughout the week, and I'm so grateful like today has now arrived.
I'm so happy as well to have you. We are so glad.
The pleasure is all mine.
Okay, so before we just start the conversation, maybe to now easen things a little, um, we have some icebreakers, and then yeah, so they're just quick ones. We can start with them before we now go into you telling us what you do and everything about the conversation of today. So the first thing is, what book are you currently reading?
Right now I'm more money conscious. So the book I'm currently reading is The Psychology of Money. I think I was even reading that on the train on my way to Page. And I'm almost done with that. And I'm trying to see what next I can read.
Wow. What about you, Eda?
He has just said about the psychology of money, and I think I've been telling you over and over again. I need to read that book.
And you kept pestering me last week. Go and check whether there's a documentary on this platform. And I was like, it's not there.
I want it.
Now you know who to talk to.
I think it's a good read. It's a must read. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a must read.
Yeah.
What about you, Eda?
Right now, I'm reading a book called. Why are you smiling so?
Because I'm happy today. Can't I be
Yeah, you are
happy?
just like so happy. So it is something that the guest is doing. Okay. Yeah, my current read right now is How to Do the Work. And I started reading that we are in March. Yeah, in March. Because I was just looking online and I was looking at something to help me. Because I've been hearing people saying that, like online, people are sometimes acting out based on past traumas. And now I was like now curious on to hear what are these traumas, and I'm like, maybe some of the things that I'm trying to avoid are because of past traumas. So I was just searching it online and I pumped into it. And actually the author is somebody that I follow on Instagram. So I've just been seeing her on Instagram, but I didn't know that she has a book. So I pumped into it and I was super glad.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's a really good book. I could recommend it to anyone actually who is trying to heal like from past traumas, childhood traumas. Yes.
So I would say, okay, another reason I was laughing, it's because we are reading the same book. I also started reading the same book, and Ed actually recommended it to me. And so currently, I'm also reading How to Do the Work. And I also just want to understand the reason as to why people behave the way they are, maybe from also a personal view, and also people around me. I feel like it would help me also to be more empathetic and just more aware of the environment and also the people around me, which makes it a good thing. Yeah. So on to the second one. Yeah, Eda. I think you will start us off, right? Okay. So what's your fun fact?
A fun fact. Something fun. And it's a fact. Hmm. No, it's not. Sleeping is fun. Is sleeping fun?
Yeah, it can be.
Sleeping is rejuvenating. But it can be fun.
People, it's fun.
Anyway, okay. All right. I recently started ballroom dance. The first class was super hard, but it was something that I wanted to do, and I actually got an opportunity. So I think that's a fun fact. I hope so. It's a fun fact for me.
For you. And you?
For me, I do sing, but only in the shower. I have this idea that if I sing outside of the shower, the feedback from people is usually not negative. So I try to limit my singing in the shower, and
I can't relate.
Oh, yeah. But yours is different.
No, to the point. I was just saying there are people who are killing my singing career. I won't mention names,
Oh, yeah.
If you want to sing, just sing. If you
but I can totally relate. But that's really, really nice. I think for me, a fun fact about me is like I love dancing. I enjoy dancing, and it gives me, it rejuvenates me. And sometimes while checking in on myself, if I'm really okay, I would sometimes look at even the dancing aspect. If I'm trying to dance, or if I'm not feeling like dancing for a while, I would just feel probably I need to check on myself. Or if I'm trying to dance but I'm not feeling it, like from within, I would. It's always a trigger that probably you need to do a self check. What's really happening? But basically, that's a fun fact about me. I love dancing. Yeah. So on to our last icebreaker. Mm. Your real brain or your artificial brain. Let's say, would you rather choose to use AI to help you think, or your actual brain?
I think I'll go with my actual brain. AI, no. Because the AI itself, it's basically humans um, telling it what to do. So basically, the human brain is actually the brain behind AI itself. So all of what you see, these are basically inputs from people who do coding. So they tell the AI what to do at what time and when. So it means the human brain is super powerful than the AI, at least for now, because you never know what will happen in the next few years. But for now, I think the human brain is behind AI itself, so it's more powerful.
He's answering, and I'm like, it's because he has knowledge. Like he knows what AI is.
That's what I was also thinking at the back of my mind. Like he's also in a position to really look at it objectively. Yeah. And you?
For me, definitely. No, he's not my Gertrude. He's not my best friend. Definitely my brain as well, because there are some things like, even like, let's say things like Chatgpt that has been the recent AI that everyone is talking about. Chatgpt, you ask it the one question, it will give you a different an answer, and then like 2 minutes later, paraphrase the whole question, give it a different answer as well. So I think I just want to be authentic, and the aspect of giving different answers for different, like the same question for, no. I think my brain 100%.
I think for me, I would be of a different opinion. For me, no, that's why I'm saying I'll be of a different opinion. For me, I will go with AI simply because I feel like, yes, just as you said, like these are basically human brains that have come together, um, writing those codes and instructing the AI or this language model on what to do. So I'm feeling like this is a collection of creative minds already. They've just compiled all this creativity into one. When you compare that with my brain, yes, I know my brain is very powerful and I can think, but it also has a limit in terms of the kind of resources I have at my disposal. Maybe the way you're saying Chat GPT, sometimes you type, you can imagine the amount of information from how many sources it gathers information. Yes, as much as sometimes maybe it gives different answers for different things, but I'm thinking all this information were not at my fingertips at this point. I had not thought about this thing in this situation. So I would always, I would choose AI for creativity, for brainstorming, and for the major section.
But still maintain your brain.
Definitely the brain will, you'll use the brain, your own brain, for decision making, but I'm just saying, like, I would choose AI because of these vast sources from where it can amass materials and information from.
So you love the diversity of ideas.
But don't be contradicting.
I'm not, I've stuck with AI.
Like, don't give me different answers for the same question.
Oh no, that's why I feel, you see the way our guest, I don't want to mention names yet, because the way our guest has said, this is a collection of different brains. So probably the way you're paraphrasing it, maybe it's just a different way someone had thought about it. You see the way sometimes you say in a discussion, you're really trying to ensure that you give the other, every other party the opportunity to express themselves and give their opinions, because they also have a brain of their own and they would look at something from a different angle that you had not probably seen. This is the same case I view AI.
Okay, then that makes sense.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages of AI, because it basically source materials from different sources. And your idea of AI taking over the human brain, I think it has already started. Elon Musk, he has this company called Starlink. They are trying to connect chip in the human brain. So it means if they are successful, you'll be able to control electronic devices by just thinking. But the real relevance of what they are trying to do is because mostly the brain controls every nerve of the body. if there's a problem with the brain, then it means certain organs on your body will not function properly. So it's mostly for people who paralyzed people or people who have other deformities. So the idea is that if they can get the chip to control how you think, then definitely they will be able to cure all of those physical disabilities.
I think we will get into that in depthly. So yeah, at this moment, I think I would give Eda to take up, so as you can allow our guest.
Yes, so at this juncture, he's super ready. He has all the information for you guys. So, as we said before, we have our first guest on the podcast. We are super grateful to even like get to this milestone where we can be able to give our viewers not only our opinions but also like expert advice on specific matters. And I have the honor of introducing
Drum rolls.
dum, dum, dum. Our first guest.
And
Take
that's
it
me.
up. You can introduce yourself.
Okay.
Say maybe your name, what you do, and yeah, anything else that you would like the viewers to know.
Okay. Usually I take long in when when I want to introduce myself, but I think I'll just sum up everything.
Okay.
So my name is James Moinina, Minah. I am a social worker, firstly. So basically, what I do is work with teachers, students, parents to actually identify those challenges that impact on student learning negatively. So not only identifying those challenges, but then also helping them to come up with solutions to address those problems. And then in terms of technology aspect, I think it's quite recently I became interested in leveraging technology in the classroom. I think it happens when COVID happened. And so Sierra Leone is quite different from Hungary, whereby you already have technology in classrooms and everything. So when COVID happens and there was a long closure of schools, so it meant there were no schools, no learning was taking place.
Yes.
And so I reached out to a few teachers, and then we were able to set up a learning management system whereby we develop notes and then submit them in the learning management system, and then the student can just go there and source those materials. And so in a way, they were active even though nothing was going on physically. So that's how I came to know of the power of AI to actually bridge the gap that exists in our education systems. And so fast forward, I came across the educational technology program, which I'm currently enrolling at ELTE. And so when I read the program and I realized that it's actually what I've been looking for. So it's not just about the technological aspect, but then also the psychosocial implications when it comes to teaching and learning online. So in summary, I would just say I am somebody who is very passionate about, actually helping teachers explore the possibilities of integrating technology into how they teach and also how students learn at the same time. I think I have this conviction that with technology, teachers can actually bring inclusivity and into how they teach the student.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. That was very informative. And I'm looking at this conversation. I'm like, it's going to mostly help teachers, students, and even anyone else because we are all learning. This is a process of learning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you are looking, maybe if you're a teacher or if you're a student, you are into tech matters, technology, education matters, how to combine the two. If you want to know more about AI, so this is the episode for you.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I think we can begin. Myself, I just have a personal question.
Okay.
Because with AI, the same way we're having about the conversation about now, either AI brain or my personal brain.
Mm.
I really want to, in my mind, I'm like, I want to maintain my brain as much as possible, but I can't remove the aspect of technology taking up the space. So I have to I have to get into technology as well and use it to my advantage. But like I'm like, how can I be able to maintain my creativity even
Okay.
if I am using AI? I think that is a question that most people should even even if you don't know if you need it, you need it. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's usually a concern among teachers because I've experienced it firsthand. The reason why most schools were like banning the use of AI into the education system is because I think on the one hand they thought AI would sort of, limit student creativity in a way. But I think I have a different view of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason being, and I mean, I've been privileged like to school in Africa, and now I'm in Europe. I think it's something you can also find that is common. I think one of the common things between the education system in my home country and that of Hungary is the fact that it actually focuses on filling our minds with fact and numbers. So the point I'm trying to make is the creativity element has always been absent,
Mm.
right? Like taking my country, for example, Sierra Leone, our education system is more or less of memorizing numbers and fact, just in case we might need them in the future. And now when I look back,
True.
there are some subjects we are doing in school, I can't find any use of it, you
Mm.
know. And so I think those ones were really not relevant, but we were just learning them just in case we might need them in the future. So I think what I think it's hard time for us to move on from just in case education to just in time. So the difference between those two is the fact that just in time education is about teaching students to problem solve and also think creatively.
Mm.
And so I think that's where education is headed, and that's where technology comes in as well. And so in terms of your questions as to why, how we can still retain the creativity of students, I think it's a question of how teachers are really like approaching how they teach as well. And so in the education system, there are different approaches to how teachers are instructing their lessons. So one is just focus on, like the one I mentioned, the traditional approach. They're giving you the notes and then they expect you to memorize the note and give them the same information,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then the second one is what we call the constructive approach. So it's basically saying students are not just there to receive the information, but they can also be co-creators of that knowledge,
Exactly.
right? So that's where creativity happens. So if the teacher is not just there filling the student with the info, but then student can contribute towards creating that information or that knowledge, and I think that's where the creativity also lies. So effective learning is made up of two main components. So one of the component is the human interaction, right? And which basically can account for like 20% of effective learning. And then the other aspect is real life experience,
Mm. Yeah.
applying the information that you've learned in the classroom. So that makes up about 70% of effective learning. The 10% is basically how the teachers are teaching
Mm.
their lessons and whatnot. So if we want students to maintain their creativity, I think we need to focus more or less on those elements, the human interaction, and
Mm.
also teaching students in a way that they can apply whatever they've learned into real life situations. So these are the two elements that I think it's very important, and we don't see technology taking the importance of those two elements from education. Because when we students interact during classrooms, there's so many benefits. For example,
True.
that's how you validate, the knowledge that you have, and also you develop new knowledge as well. Because as we engage, like we are having a discussion now, all right, I'm learning from you, and then you're also learning from the little I know. So that's how we develop new information, and then that's also how we validate maybe whatever misconceptions we might have. And then when we are given the opportunity to apply what we've learned, all right, we learn so many other skills as well. We are problem solving, and then we are also learning how to make mistakes.
Yes.
And then based on that, we can also learn from our mistakes and then do things differently.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot, but I think we
Yeah.
can get into some of those. Yeah.
You've said something about like the human interaction between like the teachers and students and also students themselves. And I feel like this brings the aspect of empathy and also emotional intelligence. What would be your opinion, or how do you think the use of maybe this AI or technology can still retain this emotional intelligence? Because you're finding right now most people are using just technology. Most students, let's say, are using mostly, they're always on maybe their phones or laptops, and getting to a point of emotionally connecting with each other is probably not easy. And then you find it gets to a point whereby people are just acting out weirdly, or maybe people are acting out angry towards others, but they've not been in that emotional connection because they have more connection with their devices or technology. What do you think are some of the strategies be that can be implemented maybe to help regulate this or improve emotional intelligence and also empathy among students and even teachers as well?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's also a very good point when it comes to technology integration into our classrooms. And so we have this idea that teaching itself is a social act. All right, when teachers are teaching, they are interacting with the student. And then also, if like students are working on their classwork or whatever, whether it's assignment or whatnot, they're also like interacting. So when it comes to teaching and learning, it's about the social aspect of it. Sometimes that social interaction can be good. For example, student can have good support systems. And then also, if you have a friend, maybe that friend can be, of assistance when it comes to your assignment and so many other problems that you might encounter. But then if the social interaction happening between students and teachers is not really done in an effective way, then it's going to have a negative implications on students. And so there are some strategies that um, we've been exposed to in the sector, in the educational technology sector, that when teachers can actually implement in their classrooms, can actually bring about that empathy element and also that inclusive element as well. So one of those is what they refer to as cognitive dissonance. So it's actually based on the idea that most people practice what they preach. So the more you preach something, the more likely
Yeah.
you are to practice.
Yes.
All right. So how can this be adapted to the classroom? Let's say, for example, now we are talking about addiction, all right, internet addiction or phone addiction, right? So let's say, for example, we want to talk about that topic in class, right? So what the teacher can do is select maybe a senior class, let's say, for example, from grade 1 to grade 7. So let's say, for example, the teacher wants to have the discussion with grade 4. So he or she can just like select few students from grade 7 and then give them the responsibility of talking to the grade 4 student,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So by talking about the implications of phone addiction, internet addiction, or social media addiction, it actually increases the cognitive dissonance of the grade 7 student.
True.
So you have, I think it's psychology in a way, because you feel like I'm talking about this, but my actions are different. So you are in a way compelled, yeah, you are in a
Yeah,
way
true.
compelled to match your behavior to that of which you are preaching.
Mm, mm,
But the key trick here though is um, you have to do it in a way that the grade 7 students are not thinking that this is a must for them to do. They have to feel that they are volunteering. It's something that they are volunteering to do. Because when people are forced to do something, they are not going to, you are not going to achieve what you actually want to achieve.
yeah,
So
true.
one of those strategies is cognitive dissonance, right?
Which I
So
think is very important.
exactly.
It's very important.
Yeah, exactly. And another is what we call social perspective taking. So it's about actually discerning what people feel and understand about their situations. So it's about putting yourself in the shoe of the other person, right? So how can we also like adapt this strategy in the classroom? Say, for example, there's this student in class always submitting their assignment very late, or maybe they are always coming to class, they are dirty and whatnot.
We know them.
So because we are humans, there's that temptation for us to be like jumping into conclusion. You can come up with your own hypothesis. Oh, he's not serious, or maybe he's lazy, or maybe the parents are just carefree. So we are tempted to be biased in that situations. So what the social perspective taking is actually talking about is to take a step back and actually find out from the person why is it that they are behaving in such a manner. So instead of just like concluding, drawing your own conclusion, so you can ask, why are you always submitting your assignment late?
Yeah.
So you might, for example, be surprised to think that perhaps they are actually from an abusive home, or maybe the student lost a dad or maybe a mom, so it having the psychological effect. All right. So when we take a step back and try to put ourselves in the shoe of the student, and I think we can actually have that moral compass to actually, find out exactly what is going on instead of just relying on our instincts and try to come up with an hypothesis to say, okay, this is what the child is going through. So in a way, it actually reduces our bias, because we are all biased. Humans, we are biased. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all have this stereotype about other people, even though we've never met them. So the best way for us to change that stereotype or whatever belief that we have about people is actually putting ourselves in their situations by asking instead of just
Yeah.
assuming.
True, and I think that one can also come also to the students' side as well.
Yeah,
Just like taking the initiative of trying to know how is the other, maybe the person sitting next to me doing,
yeah,
instead of me judging him or her. Like, let me just try to be empathetic enough to just get to understand what is going on with this person. But I'm thinking also, like in Africa, maybe we can just speak because that is where we are from and we understand the whole system.
okay,
um, I don't know if this is happening. um, I'm not sure if it is happening in your country, but I know for sure in like in my country now, Kenya, some teachers are doing that,
okay.
but some are not. So why is there this gap that there are some who are doing it and some are not doing it? and you get that most of them they have gone through the same education system. So what is that gap?